I don't know if this will be the last video in rules-based access controls in Yii. It might be, but first of all, we need to talk about the roles. Now, operation tasks and roles are really all the same thing, and how they get assigned child and all of that really can be used interchangeably. But we categorize them to keep it clear. The first thing is operations are things that we're going to do. So you might think of things, for example, of these kind of operations. Someone can log in, they can create their own account if they can't log in, and then this is kind of mimicking a minimal e-commerce system. They can view products, they can buy products. Now somebody has to, of course, create the products, update the product description, update the product price, and then we have users. And we can delete a user or delete a product, create a user, view user contact, and view user purchase history. So these are different operations, and of course this is not exhaustive. The next thing we have are, can we group some of these into tasks? Well, delete user and delete product, we could say that's just delete records out of the database. Update product, well, we could say that's either updating the product description or updating the product price. And then view user account, well, that can be view user contact information or view user purchase history. So now we've created some tasks that group some of these operations together. Finally, we create roles. These are the different roles in the system. You could, for example, have a guest, a customer, a copywriter, a buyer, a customer service rep, and a customer service supervisor, and then of course a super user. Or sometimes this might be the equivalent of an admin. Now once we get all of these, we can create relationships. For example, a guest can log in, create his own account. A customer can't log in because they're already logged in. They can't create their own account because they already have an account, but they can view products and they can buy products. Now according to this layout here, that's the only thing that the customer can do, is to view products and buy products. You might want to give them the ability to do other things like update their account information. Copywriter. Now a copywriter can update product description, but he can't update the product price. A buyer who can update the product description, to create the product, and update the product price, well, that buyer will just update product. The super user, of course, will have access to everyone, but rather than dragging the super user's ability to create the product, we'll just give him the ability to be a buyer, which will then give him the ability to update products, which will give him the ability then to create product. Now the super user is the only one who can delete records, which is delete user and delete product. A customer service rep can view a user contact information, but can't view the user's purchase history. That only a customer service supervisor can do, so they can view user history. They can also do everything a customer service rep can do, which in this case includes create a user. So can a super user create a user? Yes, because he can do everything a customer service supervisor can do, who can do everything that a customer service rep can do, which can be create a user. So here we've kind of laid out what everybody can do, their roles. We've grouped some common operations into tasks. Now we're going to not have any business rules in this setup, and we're just going to strictly set with authorization. So this is how we set this up. This is obviously not exhaustive or may not be accurate to what you may want to do, but this gives us an idea of some of the roles that we can implement in a roles-based access control system like Yii. So now we're going to show a little bit of a setup of the role-based access control system that we set up right here. Now I'm going to show you my mistakes so that you can realize that you don't want to do the same thing. The first thing I did is I went to my old application and I deleted all the items out of the database, thinking I was going to put these into the database. Well, when I did that, of course, I deleted my authorization to be to do anything, and so now I can't do anything here in my application. So I'm going to just quickly create the super admin right here. So first of all, we want to create a role. Okay, and we're going to call that role super admin. I'm doing this all in PHP my admin. Now a role is of type 2. And again, I'm going to put that end semicolon because that's what Yii does in there. Okay, now that I've done that, I need to make an assignment. So I'll insert into the assignment. I'm going to put my user ID, which is 13. I happen to know that. No business rule. Item name, superadmin is being assigned to user 13. I don't need anything else in here. I'll save that. Okay, superadmin is assigned to user 13. Now when I go back to here, boom, I can do things again. Okay, and the reason I wanted to do that is because I want to create all of this here in my application here. It's the easiest way to implement an entry system for that, although you can do it other ways. I've got all of these items here, and there's 22 items. So let me create all of those really quickly. One of the things I did is I did change this entry here in the action create of authentication item controller. Before, what it would save is then redirect you to a view, which is completely invalid. This was Yii's attempt to create something generic, but it doesn't work at all. So all I had was I just said, don't do that, blocking it out, making sure that I have both the open and closed parentheses for the if statement. What that allows me to do then is just to go over here, double click, which selects copy, paste, and save. And that's the easiest way to create this pretty fast. This is a lot faster than writing a permanent entry into a hard-coded one-time view. After I've created all of these, I can just simply list them, which is nice. Again, this was a function and view created by Yii, so not something I had to create on my own. And I can quickly see in here, I can also, because of the built-in tool for Yii, just get those of the role type, which is type 2. I can see that there are 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I kept superadmin there, so that's 8. I could see how many tasks there are. I see that there are 3. 1, 2, 3. And finally, how many operations there are. This is just a quick and easy way to check my work. It says there's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I'm missing one. Let's see if we can figure out which one that is. Okay, I found out the one missing was the view user purchase history. So I'm looking at my authentication items, and that's what you have to create first. I see that I have the 23 that I have in there. Now, of course, after doing authentication items, I want to assign roles. So that is auth assign. The only one I've got assigned right now is superadmin, which is for user 13, which is me. And I like being by ID, not by name. So I'm going to create an auth assignment, and since there's only one, it'll be pretty easy to do. I'm going to say this super user is 13, and that's all. Again, I'm not doing anything with business rules at this time. Now I got to here because I hadn't redirected the view back to the create. Could have easily done that, but I'm only going to create a user. I'm only going to create two authentication. One is a super user, which is user ID 13, and a buyer, which is 14. So I can log in as someone else and show you how that works. The next step is then, of course, is to create the item child. Item child. Now I'm going to go ahead and fix the item child create so that I get right back to that. So here in item child create, I'll close this in with parentheses. I'll comment out this. And that's all I need to do. So now when I create authentic item child, okay, Now this parent has to exist. I'll get a database area, and there's no drop down. If I'd have been really clever, I'd have created the drop downs, which isn't that big a deal. But I'm going to go ahead and create these. Now remember, the way this works is every single one of these lines has to connect. That's what this authentication child is, item child is. It's creating these lines. And when you set this up, you can draw all of these out, and then you can move them around and try to eliminate any duplicate lines. Because super user can do anything, he could have aligned all of these. But minimizing the child item records is done by eliminating duplicate lines, which are unnecessary. You can see how easy these are to create just by copying and pasting. And now that I have the thing redirected to not redirect in a sense, this actually happens fairly quickly. Another useful hint that I found is that first of all, you delete the relationship after you've entered it in. Again, this is assuming you're going to enter it the way I am. And that you also copy and paste so that any case problems might not be a problem. And that you're exact there. You will get database errors if you don't spell the names exactly right, because the database does enforce integrity. Okay, so I recommend counting all of your lines, deleting them as you enter them in, counting them, making sure and use copy and paste because case will matter. I've run into that. But now that we've done all this, I'm not going to have time to put it into place, but I am going to check access. Okay, so really here, my cheater application, my init check access, I can check to see what user it has access to what. Now I've only got 2 users authorized, and if you can see that right here, I've got user 13 as a super user and user 14 as a buyer. Super admin doesn't apply to this in this case, although 13 is both a super admin and a super user. Okay, so I've got buyer and super user. So what am I right now? Right now I am Kim Clement, so I am a buyer. So I should be able to update product, right? And when I check that, check access, I am authorized. Well, let's make sure that I'm also authorized to update product description. We'll do that by changing this. Sorry for the confusion here. Copy, paste, save, refresh, and I am authorized. So you see how things are working here. Now, the super user, the only way to get to the view user purchase history is through the customer service supervisor. First of all, let's check and see if the buyer has access to that. And they shouldn't. Okay, the current user, which is a buyer, doesn't have access to that. Well, let's log in then as super user, and I should show the role. That would make things a lot clearer, wouldn't it? And now we'll check the access. And I'm authorized. And you can run through all of these. I'd recommend it, what you would expect a super user to have access to, and what he wouldn't expect to have access to, and to count. But this design here is not something you would want to throw up in a couple minutes. You'd want to be pretty clear about this and then keep it on hand for your roles. Now, the last step, and unfortunately I'm going to have to do another video, the last step is going to be where I actually implement this. And there are ways that I recommend that are probably outside what normally is done. But that is a basic setup of a design, how to design it, and I always love visually, how to actually put it into your system, and then how to test to make sure it works.